And now our last speaker is Professor Dina Porat, the head of the Kantor Center for the Study of Contemporary European Jewry and the chief historian of Yad Vashem. Professor Porat is an outstanding and a leading scholar in the fields of Holocaust studies and modern anti-Semitism, and she published numerous important studies in these fields. She served in many important positions in university, such as the head of the Department of Jewish History and the head of the Chaim Rosenberg School of Jewish Studies. Her contribution to the study of contemporary anti-Semitism is much appreciated, and she succeeded in establishing a research body in the Tel Aviv University who has focused on analyzing modern anti-Semitism and racism and gained over the years worldwide a reputation. Professor Porat, Dina, please.
Thank you, Ronnie, for the kind words. Thank you all for coming. Mike, congratulations. We really have known Mike since the first seminar, that was 1992. And this year, we'll have our, this seminar on anti-Semitism, an international one, is taking place every other year. So this year, we will be having our 11th one, and I don't think that Mike missed even one of them, isn't it? Uh-huh. Okay. So it's a long friendship of very strong ties, and we all congratulate him. Thank you also, Professor Wistrich. Professor Wistrich made the effort. He just finished teaching, jumped into a cab, and came here. So this is really an effort that should be appreciated. I like to be short because I feel perhaps I'm wrong, but I feel that there are questions that the audience would like to raise, and therefore I'd like the audience to have the opportunity to do so, and I'll be short in saying the following. I feel that listening to the ambassador first, then our rector took it to another point, mainly the difference between the academic effort to try and analyze and what is being said outside the academia, and he was a bit at odds with these two perspectives. And then having heard Robert Wistrich, who is really no doubt one of the leading, if not the leading, a scholar on anti-Semitism today, and we read his books and we applaud his work. And then having heard Mike Whine and his very careful and sometimes surprising analysis of the situation of British Jewry, I feel there are some contradictions here. There are some contradictions not only in among the personalities that spoke here today, but in the data and in the analysis that they presented. And I would like to relate to just three points that exemplify this contradiction. The first is that when I showed Mike, and this is, we base our data at least on violence in the UK, but also in harassment and what you called, what you, Robert, called the discourse, the verbal expressions of anti-Semitism. We base it on the work of the CST. And Dr. Ronnie Stauber heads. You know that the problem with the chairperson is that he introduces everyone, but no one introduces him. Okay, that's a known problem. So Dr. Stauber is head of the Kantor program for the study of anti-Semitism and racism, which is inside the the Kantor Center. And what can I say? For many years now, and I really hate to, I feel a bit uneasy to mention that after having heard Mike. For quite a number of years, the countries that are up on our graphs are the UK and France. Okay, this was 2011. A year ago, United Kingdom. A year ago, that's 2009, United Kingdom, France. 2008, United Kingdom. And I could go on and on, backwards. And when I wanted to speak about it, Mike said, I don't want to deal with statistics today. And he's right, because this is just part of the picture. It is a bit alarming, because it is high. There is a high rate of violence that we have to relate to. Perhaps, let me, as I promised, put it shortly, perhaps we are dealing with a number of kinds of populations in Britain, that one perpetrates the violence, the other, perhaps more local, is the verbal one. The intellectuals are a different circle that I will relate to in a minute. So it's not that violence lurks in every corner, but the statistics is there, and it is a source of concern, and also of the contradiction we were speaking about, because on the other hand, you did present a community 100 years old. You forgot to mention the the Jewish Chronicle. That's a newspaper. And you presented a community with institutes, with strength, with impact on society. So this contradiction, I feel, should be solved. Another one is, Robert, you mentioned the Finkler question. It has now been, I assume that some of you have read it, by Howard Jacobson, the Finkler question. It got the Booker Prize. It was the first, last year, it was the first time that a book on a Jewish issue got the prize. It has been recently translated into Hebrew under the title Mi Hu Finkler, or Mi Ze Finkler. In other words, it correlates to Mi Hu Yehudi, who is a Jew, which is an eternal question. So it is out for the Jewish, for the Hebrew book week, the book fair. Arba b'mea, okay, and I assume there would, we will face soon some reviews and debates around it, because the book, which is, I managed to read only part of it, is hilariously funny, but on the other hand, it is a sad one. It is a sad one, and it speaks about the Jewish situation in England. And this Howard Jacobson was interviewed just a few days ago, some 2 weeks ago, I would say. I think Esti drew my attention to this interview. He spoke in the interview, which he gave from London by phone, but he spoke about his feeling as a child growing in England, about being told when he was young, don't show your Jewishness too much, don't speak up too much, don't be too conspicuous, and then about his feelings today. And the 2 points are come up very strongly there in the interview and in what you can read in the book. One is that he thinks it is not the Middle East that is the reason for anti-Semitism. And you, Mike, also suggested, and I think quite rightly so, that since the Muslim community in the UK does not necessarily come from the Middle East or Northern Africa, but they come mostly from East Asia, then the Middle East is not their primary concern. And therefore, it's not the Middle East that is the trigger. What Howard Jacobson is saying is that the non-balanced, one-sided treatment of British intellectuals and media towards Israel shows with the intensity of the intensity of this treatment, not only the one-sidedness, but the rage and the anger show that it is not a treatment of any other state or any other political situation or conflict, that there is something deeper, much deeper, and he pinpoints this much deeper level as anti-Semitism towards a Jewish state. That's his opinion, but that's a point I'm bringing up. And one more point that comes up very strongly is that he speaks about about self-hating Jews, and says that much of the problem is there in self-hating Jews that incite others, non-Jews as well, and he wonders where does this phenomenon come from? Why can't Jews, all Jews, he would have loved all Jews, be at peace with their Judaism or with the fact that they are Jews? And he again says that these Jews, the self-hating ones, the ones that incite the sin, have been doing it way before Israel came into being, because you have had the communist Jews and the Bundists and others, the autonomists and territorialists, all kinds of ideologies that objected Zionism, were against it, and again incited others with again a very, very intensive feelings. So part of the problem is there, perhaps really a major part. Jacobson speaks about Aleph Bet Yoshua, a very known author in Israel, one of I would say there is a triumvirate of authors, that's Oz, Yoshua, and Grossman. And I think quite rightly so. Jacobson definitely has a point. I don't know whether you have read it, but there was an article, I would say a month ago, quoting Aleph Bet Yoshua, who said that the Holocaust was a Jewish failure, but that's not a point I would like to enter now. And he also said that Jews living in the diaspora are partial Jews, just partial. They are not full Jews. Full Jews live here in Israel. Here you can be a full Jew or full Israeli because you live your life both.
That's what you call today the גם השם.
רגע, אני תכף אגיע, אני רוצה לסיים בזה, כן. אבל זה לא ג'וז, טוב, אוקיי.
ג'וז אחרים.
זה ג'וז אחרים, בדיוק. זה... Okay, no, that's okay. So Aleph Bet Yoshua said that Jews living in the diaspora are just partial Jews. They are not full Jews. And the full ones live here because they live both personal Jewish life, communal, and national. And this does not exist abroad. And I think Howard Jacobson definitely has a point in objecting to Aleph Bet Yoshua, because a Jew can choose in what way he would like to be a Jew. And if there is anywhere a nation with a diversity of choices, this is definitely the Jewish people. Everyone has his own choice and variation, and the synagogue, and etc. And I really don't think that Aleph Bet Yoshua has a point there. Also because he himself tries to push Israelis to be Israelis and not connected to the diaspora, and push Jews from the diaspora to come here. That's perfectly okay. every Jew, if possible, can come here. But this doesn't mean or doesn't say that Jews living elsewhere are less Jewish or of less value. You know that sometimes you get a mail and you get it 10 times and 20 times and 30 times, and it nudges you, but it keeps coming. And there was a mail that kept coming, I think, at least 2-3 years, not every day, let's not exaggerate, but it kept coming, and it said the following. In the UK, they stopped teaching the Holocaust. Have you read that? In the UK, they stopped teaching the Holocaust. Okay, so we looked into the matter, and as you quite rightly said, they did not. Not only they did not, but now they're taking students to Auschwitz on government funds. There is the ITF, the International Task Force, that encourages teaching. There are many bodies that do that in high school, etc. But the mail kept coming, and there was a whole controversy in Israel denouncing the UK. No one doubted it. No one doubted that Holocaust studies stopped in the UK. Everyone agreed that's a fact. It came in the mail. That's a fact. And I wondered why. It was wrong. With a bit, 2 minutes Googling or something, you knew it was wrong. Why was it accepted as true and so easily? I thought a lot about it, and there is no way but to conclude that it was accepted as if this fact were true because of this opinion that the ambassador talked about. There is a negative opinion in certain parts of Israel about the UK and its relations or attitudes to Jews, to Holocaust, to Israel, etc., to anything Jewish, and therefore it was easily and readily accepted as if this were true, but it is definitely not. And not only, but as an anecdote, recently there is a new mail, the University of Kentucky stopped teaching the Holocaust. It's not, but it's again a UK, University of Kentucky. UK, that's it. They not only did not stop the Holocaust, they never began teaching it, so never mind. Okay, so what I see here among the speakers, what I could read in this Howard Jacobson book, that there is a kind of a contradiction. There are some questions to be asked. How do we sort out the picture in which there is a community, a thriving one, as you have very, very skillfully and very thoroughly showed, and some realities that go against it, perhaps not coming, perhaps this is the answer, not coming from the same parts of British society. I cannot end without referring to what you have raised. You know what happened today in Yad Vashem. It happened at night, not today. Today in the morning it was discovered. There were some 10 huge graffitis over the Warsaw Ghetto Square, and also 2 in the Valley of the Lost Communities, and in the entrance, and some at the entrance, some 10 at least, which said that Hitler, thank you for the Holocaust. And again, Hitler, thank you for the wonderful Holocaust that you have done or carried out. It also said that the Zionist state is not Jewish, but is a danger to Jews, etc., etc. The Zionist leadership during the Holocaust wanted the Holocaust. All these, the police has not finished its investigation, so we are all waiting for the police to say its final word. But these are all quotes from a number of very extreme, fanatic, small-numbered, but extreme fanatic Orthodox groups that are saying such things against Zionism and its response as if alleged responsibility for the Holocaust since the war until today. One of the graffiti was simply a quote from the Rebbe of Satmar, the one who was rescued in the Kastner train, and Teitelbaum. His little booklet, Yoel Moshe Teitelbaum, said that Zionism is responsible in many ways that are not to be detailed here, but the graffiti cited one of them because Zionism waged war against Hitler, so this is why he did the Holocaust. Anyhow, all these quotes come from this source that has been expressing itself since the war, and more forcibly so since the 80s and the 90s. So this is really, this shook Yad Vashem and everyone in Israel upside down. I just wanted to mention it, but this is definitely beside our conversation. I'd like to thank everyone again for coming and everyone for speaking. And I think that the chairperson would like to open the floor for some questions, if that's okay with the Vistret and you. Yep.